Today I want to talk to you about what is very basic to golf, and that's the grip and the stance. It tends to be the first thing that we learn when playing golf, and unfortunately it also tends to be the first thing we forget. Part of why we forget is because we don't have a basic routine that we go through in setting up the grip and the stance. So that's what I'd like to show you today, a routine that we are going to do, as the word implies, routinely. It's amazing how often I get students to learn this procedure, and then 2 months later they say, oh, do I still need to do that? Then I have them look up the word routine. This is something you want to do for the rest of your golf career. And it starts with how you take the grip. What I would have you do is actually raise the club up in front of you in order to take your grip. Our tendency is to set the club down and then try to mold our body to the golf club, and there it gets very difficult in order to take a correct grip. Much easier when the golf club is right in front of you. With it in front of you, what I'm looking to do is place it in the fingers of my hand. Now you'll see here I've even drawn some lines on my golf glove to show you the angle that the shaft goes through the hand where your fingers join your hand. Thumb on top, back of your hand facing down the fairway. Now why this is so important to get this correctly in the left hand is because of the angle that it creates. By setting the club in my left hand correctly, I'm able to easily make a right angle between my forearm and the shaft. The tendency amongst golfers is to just set the club in the hands how they feel is comfortable, but then they get to a position where they can't get the club up very high, whereas with the correct grip, this club would be right here. If you've got it down here because of a poor left-hand grip, then that puts pressure on you to try and turn your body more to get the club back. Whereas if we set the club in the left hand correctly, again, that's the grip at the base of the fingers, thumb on top, and if you look at it this way, the knuckles are more or less in line with the shaft, making it easy for me to get this right angle. Then, with a reasonable backswing, I've already got my club head up to here, setting this angle. Key to your golf swing. Now, with the club correctly set in the left hand and still in front of me, club head still up, I don't want to drop it yet. And I'll tell you why. If I drop the club now to set it down by the ball, look at my shoulders. First thing I do is I start to hunch over. Very important that we take the stance, again, in a set order. Club is here. First thing I want to do is place my feet about shoulder width apart. And when I'm saying shoulder width, I want to be specific. I'm looking for shoulder width from instep to instep. If I were to take a piece of string and cut it to the length of my shoulders, and then set that piece of string down on the ground, that would be from instep to instep. From here, again, club's still up in the air. I'm not going to lower it yet. First thing I'm going to do is a little bit of flex in the knees. We tend to like to say, bend the knees. Bend the knees is pretty ambiguous, and then we get into a situation where we start to look like Fred Flintstone, or worse, like you're sitting on the toilet. Flex the knees. Just don't want the knees ramrod straight. A little bit of flex, weight on the balls of my feet. I do not want to be sitting on my heels to hit a golf shot. If I'm on my heels, my weight's going back when I'm trying to hit something that's in front of me. So, weight on the balls of my feet, knees flexed. Then what I'm going to do is, keeping my spine straight, as it tends to be as I'm setting up originally, I'm going to bend from the hips so that I can maintain my spine angle and get over the ball. So now I've flexed my knees, bent from the hips. All I have to do is set the club down. Okay? That way I can get into a very good fundamental setup and not lose it. Now, if you remember this as a routine, then you'll remember it forever. If you just try to picture what a good grip looks like, or if you just try to picture what a good setup, a good stance looks like, it's very easy for that picture to get distorted over time. If you remember this routine in its proper order and do it all the time, then it becomes memory. And then you will do it right all the time, and you'll have the benefit of good grip, good setup, every single shot that you hit. So let's go over this again. starting with the club up in front of me, placing the grip in the fingers of the left hand, right where my fingers join the base of my hand. Left thumb on top, back of my left hand facing down the fairway. Right hand comes on. I'm going to place this pad here under my right thumb on my left thumbnail, and again gripping in the fingers. Essentially now I've got the palm of my right hand going down the fairway, or the back of my right hand to you. I place my feet at shoulder width apart, little flex in the knees, weight forward on the balls of my feet. Bend from the hips, set the club down. You want to do that for every club that you have, except perhaps for your putter. So that's a basic 1-2 on your grip and your stance. And if you have any other questions, take a look at my website, hitdowndammit.com, and even send us an email. We'd be glad to get back to you. For ball position, I might add that we're going to play the ball off the inside of the left heel. We never want to play the ball in the middle or in the back of the stance unless we're doing something like chipping or you're trying to hit a deliberate cut, a deliberate slice. Always looking for ball position inside the left heel, and that's for all clubs. Gripping with the fingers, and you always have the option of what we call a 10-finger grip, or an overlap grip, or an interlock. Doesn't matter, go with what feels the most comfortable or what you're most familiar with. The key is the angles, that this club is in your left hand correctly, and that the palm of the right hand is going down the fairway, the back of the left hand down the fairway.